Warning, the Renegade Recruiter is not for the soft, timid, or faint-hearted. If you need permission or seek approval from your mother, spouse, mates in the pub, or anyone else for that matter, this really isn't for you. If any of what you've heard puts you off in the slightest, I advise you not to listen any further. You've been warned. Prepare yourself for the no bullshit, zero fluff. Quick, dirty, and uncensored secrets for any serious recruitment, staffing, and search business owner who wants to earn more money with less work and fewer headaches, without having to kiss ass or bend over backwards to please anyone. He's a relentless and fearless renegade who will stop at nothing to reveal the harsh, unforgiving, and brutal truth about what it really takes to succeed in this business. He's a guy people love to hate and hate to love. It's your host, Terry Edwards. The Renegade Recruiter is unleashed.
Hello. This is Terry Edwards, Renegade Recruiter, and welcome to this week's podcast. And of course, we're joined by our co-host, Drew, who you can hear giggling like a child in the background. How are you, Drew?
I'm good, thank you, Terry. How are you?
I'm excellent. Look, before we get into the podcast, I want to first of all thank you for joining us again. If you enjoy the podcast, spread the word. If you don't enjoy the podcast, stop listening. Seriously, if you want show notes or any additional resources, if you go to renegaderecruiter.com.
It's therenegaderecruiter.com.
Okay, therenegaderecruiter.com. I want to keep going. See, this is live. You can see this is live, and there's no editing in this. We just keep going regardless. TheRenegadeRecruiter.com for show notes. In this podcast, we're going to share with you how you can grow your business by getting some strategies used by Disney. Yeah, by Disney. We're going to share with you what you can do that Disney does that will help you generate more leads, increase your personal earnings. So, for those that don't know, Disneyland Park, I think it was originally called, or as Disneyland as it is now, is really a theme park. And Walt Disney's original concept was really a family park, minus any of the negative elements that he felt you got with carnivals, etc. And he came up with the idea with his brother. Now, if you've never been to Disneyland, you should go. And by the way, leave the kids at home. Now, I get that all the marketing is aimed at kids in the main, but you'll have a lot more fun if you go without the children, trust me. But you'd be mistaken if you thought Disneyland was just another theme park. Far from it. You can actually learn a lot about the way Disney operates as a business. There aren't many places in the world that can boast a bigger average spend per person than Vegas. Let me repeat that. There aren't many places in the world that can boast a bigger average spend per person than Vegas. But Disney can. And by the way, that's including the legal and illegal activities of prostitutes, both in and outside the city. But look, let's look at some of the lessons you can learn and how you can apply them to your business. Lesson number 1. All the rides on Disney have restrictions. Now, that's something you can learn from Disney. Almost every ride, every attraction inside Disney theme park have some kind of criteria that you must meet if you want to be accepted. In most cases, it's really a case of just the height restriction. But if you fall below a certain criteria that they set, you are not allowed to go onto that ride. You just don't get to ride. You have to sit on the sides and watch. And this is one of the many reasons I recommend that you go without young children, unless you're willing to leave them on their own. Because it really restricts the attractions that you get to use. So what can you, as an owner or a director of a recruitment or search firm, learn from that? Well, if Disney can set a minimum criteria for you to ride in their teacups, why don't you set a minimum criteria for your clients too? Here's what I mean. If you talk to most recruitment and search firm owners, they will literally work with anyone who's willing to pay their fees. In some cases, they don't even set the ability to pay the fees as a minimum requirement. Then they will piss and moan about the clients who don't pay their bills on time. They complain about the clients who don't return their calls. They complain that clients don't really value what I do and the hard work that we put into it. Sound familiar? You know exactly the type of clients that I'm talking about. And the chances are you've even let a few of them slip into your business. Now, I'm going to say this. I've said it before, but I'll keep saying it until it really sinks in. You do not have to work with everyone. Let me repeat. You do not have to work with everyone. And you should have minimum criteria that your potential clients must meet before you even consider them as fit for your business. You should have a minimum criteria that potential clients and candidates, by the way, must meet before you'd even take up any time of your day to meet with them. You should have a minimum criteria someone in your market must meet before you even consider them as a potential client. Your mantra should be your business, your rules. So sort of minimum criteria, especially for contingency recruiters. What I'd say to you, if you're a contingency recruiter, and client, I get this every day of the week. Contingency recruiters say, I'm really busy at the moment working on all these job orders. The industry norm for contingency recruiters filling roles is 30%. Let's say it's 40%, and that's very high, by the way, at 40%. What that does mean is that 60% of the time you're working, you will never, ever get paid for it. Think about that for a minute. And that's your criteria for taking a client, because 60% of the time you're not going to get paid for it. At the very least, you should be asking for an exclusive. At the very least, you should be asking for the date of the date that the client's going to interview the candidates. At the very least, you should be asking for the date you'll get feedback on the interviews. These are minimum criteria. At the very least, you should have an agreement in place with your client that they will return your calls or respond to your emails within 48 hours. What's your minimum criteria? Because if you're saying, I'm going to work with anybody, guess what? You're going to attract anybody. Anything to add to that, Drew?
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this in a lot more detail in episode 4 of this podcast, how to spot a recruitment whore. Basically, we're making a point that if you're not turning clients away, if you've got no standards, then you're bound to have some bad clients. You're making a mistake in your business, and you're working with clients who actually are costing you money. They're causing more headaches and pain in your business than they're actually worth. So, again, if Disney can have set a minimum criteria for you to ride the teacups, then you should have a minimum criteria for who you work with or who you even speak to in your business as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So lesson number 1, have some criteria and decide who you will work with and also who you won't work with. Lesson number 2, Disney understand that humans are humans. They never fall into the trap of thinking, yeah, well, my clients are above all this or too sophisticated for any marketing. On a personal level, I constantly battle with recruiters and search firms that I work with when they say, yeah, but my clients are too sophisticated, Terry, for this type of marketing. I often meet recruitment and search firm business owners who have this belief that because you're targeting, let's say, a big, important C-level executives, that these clients are too smart and too advanced and too sophisticated and somehow too knowing to fall for these simple marketing techniques that work for the rest of the population. But Disney are a lot smarter, and they don't make that mistake. See, Disney understand that, and they know that as long as you're selling to human beings, regardless of whether they're children, adults, males, female, fat or thin, stay-at-home parents, or busy C-level executives, they have the same core factors of influence and the same emotional pulls. I know you don't believe me, but look, try this. Go to Disney, and you'll see that that big important CEO of that blue chip corporate firm that's too sophisticated for the marketing, walking around in a pair of giant goofy shoes and Mickey Mouse ears, queuing to have their picture taken with Donald Duck, or Donald Duck queuing to have a picture taken with them. They don't seem quite so sophisticated now, do they? One of my clients was recently surprised that he was able to make generate leads via Facebook. See, my client, his name's Paul, I'll give his name. He said previously, Terry, I'm a search firm and I recruit within the investment banking sector. And the guys that I'm targeting are the CEOs within investment banks. They're not going to be on Facebook. I'll be wasting my time and my money to be targeting my marketing on Facebook. That is complete and utter BS. But fortunately for Paul, he actually tested it. He didn't close off the opportunity or the realm of possibility that they could be on there, and he went and tested it. Here's the interesting thing. He gets most of his leads now from Facebook rather than previously from LinkedIn. Think about that. Drew, anything to add to that?
Yes, just to say, look, we're all humans, we all have red blood, we all breathe, we all use the toilet. So as long as you're selling human beings, regardless of whether it's children or adults, or males or females, fat or thin, a stay-at-home parent or a C-level executive, they have the same core factors of influence, the same emotional pull. So the style of your marketing might change in terms of what you say, but the substance always stays the same. We use the same emotional pulls, the same factors of influence to get people to respond to your offer. And Disney sort of proof of this working.
Absolutely. And the key thing I'd add to that is that don't take our word for it. The beauty of this is you can go and test this. So whatever your opinion is, I go as far as to say it doesn't actually matter. My opinion doesn't matter. Go and test it. So then the opinion you have is a result of the test that you've done, rather than I just don't think, or my friend or my wife said this isn't going to work, because that's just BS. Just go and test it. So lesson number 2 is Disney get that humans are humans. It's as simple as that. Lesson number 3 is from Disney, Mickey is the boss. Now you go to any theme park and you've got to expect queues. That goes without saying. There's no shock there. But do you know something? Do you know where the longest queue is going to be? The longest queue in Disney is the queue to meet Mickey Mouse, or rather, should I say, to meet a guy or a gal whose shift it is to dress up as Mickey Mouse. And if you look at the queue, you'll discover that it's not just filled with kids, as you might think. People of all ages are lining up to meet and greet with this fictional character. The last time I was at Disney, the queue was over 60 minutes long. And at the time, the longest wait for any of the other attractions was about 35 minutes. So, yeah, Mickey certainly knows how to draw a crowd.
You're listening to the Renegade Recruiter Unleashed podcast. For show notes, additional resources, and podcast updates, head over to www.therenegaderecruiter.com.
Here's a question. If a guy or gal dressed up as a fictional character can have a long line of clients waiting for nothing more than a photograph and maybe a hug, why can't you? See, it takes nothing more than position yourself and your business as a leading expert in your particular niche or sector, and marketing until you have a waiting list of clients waiting to speak to you. There's a big hint here. This is exactly what we share with you in the Recruitment Marketing Academy, and we show you exactly how to do this. See, everyone knows that Mickey is the boss. You get that? Everyone knows that Mickey is the go-to guy when it comes to all things Disney. Just like you're the boss in your particular niche, just like you can be the go-to recruiter, the go-to search firm when it comes to recruiting the best candidates in your sector. But it all comes down to marketing and positioning yourself as the right way. See, most recruiters, when they reach out to potential clients, what they say is, engage me as your search firm, as your recruiter, because maybe I have a lot of experience in that sector, or so does every other recruiter. I'm also cheaper as well. Well, good luck on that if you're going to position yourself as the cheapest recruiter. I will do a good job. Well, that's the very least that your potential client's expecting. But when you position yourself as a go-to recruiter, you completely eliminate all that kind of chatter, because the client's coming to you amongst other things. There's some marketing techniques you can do where you can actually get clients to book into your calendar using some software. So they will book into your calendar for a telephone meeting. Just think about it for a minute. Imagine that you're at home with your friends and family, you're having an evening meal, and you look down at your smartphone and you've got appointments coming into your calendar where clients have booked into your calendar to discuss their recruitment or search needs. Just to let you know, your competitors are doing that right now. Even Mickey Mouse is doing that. He's got a queue of people waiting to see him. If you haven't got a queue of people waiting to talk to you, that's costing you millions in lost revenue. True.
Yep.
It sounds like I've just woke you up there, Drew. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, just that. Yeah, if you wanna sort of you're gonna have a waiting list of clients, what you're gonna have to do is market aggressively, position yourself as a leader. And again, as Terry mentioned, that's sort of some of the things that we teach. So you talk about that in your 7 Deadly Threats book, as well. But yeah, you need to be positioned as the go-to guy or girl in your field.
Excellent. So lesson number 3 is Mickey is the boss, and what you should be doing is saying you are the boss in your particular sector and your particular niche. Lesson number 4, Disney knows how to upsell. Now here's something that Disney gets, in my opinion, I think they do exceptionally well. Not only do they get you to enter their theme parks, but once you get there, they get you to spend even more money than you planned to. So once you paid for your ticket to enter the park, that's just the beginning. They will also sell you the option of VIP fast track tickets, so you can avoid some of the queues. And even if you don't opt for the VIP ticket, they're going to sell you photographs they've taken of you on each ride at each attraction. And even if you don't buy the photographs of each ride, you'll notice this: after you come off the ride, whatever happens, they will take you through a maze of gift shops that sell all sorts of merchandise related to the rides or the attraction that you've been on. You probably gathered that's not coincidence. And if you're not one for the thrill of the roller coaster, they have individual shops inside the park selling, merchandise such as the cuddly Mickey Mouse toys or Tinkerbell or Christmas decorations or whatever it is. And even if you avoid to party money at that stage, sooner or later you're going to want some food, and they're going to sell you some food while you're on the park. And they can charge you a premium because they know you've got nowhere else to go. That's kind of genius, don't you think? And it's something that you should be taking note of. You see, most recruitment and search firm owners spend most of their time and energy hunting and searching for new business and looking for new clients. Disney realized that it's 100 times easier to get someone who's already spent money with you to spend more. I'm going to repeat that so it really sinks in. It is 100 times easier to get someone who's already spent money with you to spend more. And if you're not maximizing this in your business right now, I can promise you, you're leaving thousands of untapped profits on the table for someone else to take. Just imagine that you could get every single client you've ever had to increase their average spend with you by just say 10% per year. Now you've done all the hard work in terms of marketing and getting their trust and winning the business in the first place. So anything they buy after that, it's just pure profit. So here's what you can do. Make a list of clients who've bought with you in the past and perhaps haven't bought from you in the last 6 months, year, 2 years or whatever. Send them a letter and ask them what you need to do to get them to buy from you again. In my book, The Persuasion, Influence and Sales Recipe for Recruitment and Search Firm Owners, we go into exact detail how you can get more business from your existing clients, how you can get old clients to come back to you. So if you go, you can get that information from that book, The Persuasion, Influence and Sales Recipe for Recruitment and Search Firm Owners. Anything to add to lesson number 4, Drew, in terms of the upsell?
Yeah, I think there's sort of 2 big takeaways to take from that. Again, so we talked about the Disney having upselling you on the VIP ticket. So for you as a recruitment or search firm, you should have a VIP or a premium offering in your business. So you have your sort of normal terms of business. You should have something that's better, something that goes above and beyond, because there will be a percentage of people who will buy the premium offering, whatever it is. The second big takeaway is one thing, when you look at Disney, one thing they do is customers go there and spend a lot of money, but they make sure that you enjoy it. They make sure you enjoy the process. They make sure that you enjoy spending money with them again, which is something that you can apply to your recruitment or search business.
Excellent, excellent. And the other thing I'd add to that is that Disney are quite comfortable upselling you. There's no discomfort there whatsoever.
Yeah.
for many, Drew, you know as well, for many recruitment and search firm owners, there is a certain amount of discomfort and even asking for the business in the first place. Now, the thing with Disney is that, at least they'll ask you to spend some more money with them. The amount of times, we've coached owners and directors of recruitment and search businesses, and they talk about how they had a great meeting, how they got on really well with the client, and they're now waiting to hear from the client. And the question we always ask is, did you ask the client for the business? Well, no, I didn't ask. I kind of figured that, if they wanted to go ahead, that they'd let me know. No, you've got to ask. And this is where this discomfort comes in for many recruiters, that they just don't ask. And one thing that I'd say to get from this with Disney asks for the business. Every time you have a business development meeting with a potential client, ask them for the business. Ask them this question: what do we need to do to get started on this? It's as simple as that. They'll tell you what you need to do. If you can do it, you're going to get the business. If you can't do it, well, at least you know. But you've got to ask for the business. So just to recap on the lessons from Disney, lesson number 1. All rides have restrictions. So if in your case, what's your minimum criteria that clients have to do to qualify to work for you? Lesson number 2, Disney understand that humans are humans. So they don't think that their clients are too sophisticated or anything, and they market regardless of what the level the person is. Lesson number 3, Mickey is the boss. So they position themselves as a go-to person. Mickey positions himself as a go-to person. What are you doing to position your firm as a go-to recruitment or search firm? And lesson number 4, Disney know how to do the upsell. What are you doing? What's your premium offering? And Drew talked about, you should have a minimum of 2 services, your premium and your standard. And of course, if you're offering a premium service, you charge a premium service. Let's say you're a search firm. One of the things that some very successful search firms are doing, they've got relationships with other recruiters in perhaps lower level recruitment, and they're taking a percentage of the fee. But what are you doing in terms of your upsell? So that's the end of this week's podcast. Again, Drew, thank you very much for joining us.
It's okay.
Again, I'm to repeat myself. If you enjoyed the podcast, share it with all your friends. If you didn't enjoy it, stop listening. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave us some reviews. We really appreciate the reviews that we get. If you want any further resources, if you go to therenegaderecruiter.com, you can get some additional resources. In our next podcast, we're going to share something with you about the House of Cards. Some of you may know that I'm a big fan of the House of Cards, and Netflix have just released their new series. And there's some lessons that you can take from the House of Cards and apply them to your business that will help you increase your personal earnings. So look out for the next podcast where we'll share how the House of Cards can help you grow your business. Drew, thank you very much indeed. Really appreciated it. This is Terry Edwards, Renegade Recruiter. Take care, take action, and be relentless.